We're going to have more music from Dave Alvin and Jimmy Dale Gilmore later on in the show. And of course, this great songwriter, originally, as I mentioned, from Fargo and from western Minnesota, now living down in Texas. Brennan Lee is here. She's just real talent. Glad she's here. You know, I asked Dave about the fires, the LA fires, the horrific LA fires that I mentioned destroyed 12,000 buildings. There is a new awareness of how the climate crisis is affecting all of us, floods, fires, extreme weather events. It's happening. We are in it. And we had a fire here in Colorado not that long ago that destroyed 1,000 homes. And there was a real desire to rebuild those houses using new, smarter techniques, technology. And a lot of those initiatives were relaxed because homeowners were underinsured and they couldn't afford to even rebuild the houses they had, let alone redo them in new and innovative ways. But the truth is, it doesn't always necessarily cost more to do smarter construction that reflects the changes that are going on out in the world. So our next guest has one of the many solutions out there. It's an affordable, energy-efficient, fireproof building material that she and her team have developed. It's both old and new at the same time. And we're excited to learn more. Please welcome to eTown from Golden, Colorado, Lisa Morey. Lisa, welcome. Glad you're here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was going to say, usually I'm in front of a crowd of like Shark Tank investors or building scientists at conferences, so this is way more fun. Thank you.
Oh, good. Good. I mean, I have to ask you now, you're in Golden, you're doing some work, I know, with the National Renewable Energy Lab. Mm-hmm. How did you get there? What kind of a path did you take to wind up in that particular spot?
I had an engineering degree, and I was an itchy foot 22-year-old, and I found an art school in New Zealand. So I packed my duffel bag and moved to Auckland, and was in an architecture program. And I was given the assignment to follow a construction project for a year and hopefully, document it and learn something during the process. So I was fortunate to meet a builder who had done some earthships in New Mexico, and he...
Earthships, for our listeners, they
Yes.
are the rammed earth. Take old tires, fill them with dirt, pile them up against a hillside usually, and make a super well insulated, but sometimes not great smelling houses. There's a little off-gassing.
There's a little, concern with it, but it's all about, using what you have. And so I partnered with this builder, and I followed his projects for a year, and then remained on the team and was a kind of a designer with that build team. Ended up living in New Zealand for about 5 years or so, and that's kind of where this all started.
Yeah. And so now the work you're doing with NREL and others is around doing research around new building materials that are both sustainable, affordable, and ideally fireproof.
Yeah. I've been caring about this building with earth concept that we've been doing for 10,000 years for so long, and have been talking about all the benefits. And it's really just been in the last 2-3 years that I've seen this greater level of interest, and receiving this grant with the Department of Energy that has partnered me with the NREL here to study the effectiveness of thermal mass in different climates, and also, the technical benefits, economic benefits, as well as life cycle assessment. So there's all these new words like embodied carbon and resilience and, climate change that weren't part of my early studies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's nice, as I understand it, is you've started your own company. Novaterra is the name of it?
Yeah, some of the people in the audience might have heard of Colorado Earth. I'm still Colorado Earth. I'm rebranding as Novaterra to reach a larger market and, nationwide.
No one who's listening to eTown has ever heard of Colorado Earth.
Okay, fair.
I suspect. So Novaterra, let's just start there.
Sure.
And so what your company does is they make essentially building blocks out of compressed earth, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of this work, I heard you introduce me earlier with she compresses out of dirt, and there's this kind of chuckle. And so a lot of this is language bound, and, using the words that we have a preconceived notion a lot to building with dirt or even earth. So I call these masonry blocks eco blocks. It's trying to kind of transcend the gap between this primitive understanding and this modern.
Yeah, I don't mean to
way.
denigrate your product.
Not at all. Not at all. No.
There's basically 4 components of dirt, right? There's sort of like, there's clay. What's there's gravel. There's what's in it?
Yeah. I mean, because I don't even know what I think of when I think of dirt, right?
Yeah.
There's the topsoil where it has all those nutrients, and that's obviously not a building material. It's really about particle distribution, so having different sizes of aggregate and sands and clay, and clay is that binder that makes it stick and hold all together. Yeah. So it's what you want is the ratio of that clay and sand.
And so you're manufacturing these products, and as I understand it, they're a fixed dimension, 6 by 12 by 3, basically.
Basically, yeah. And I can, I'm kind of iterating on some boards as well, some clay boards, and but yeah, the machine presses that's a 6 by 12 or 4 by 12, and I have some leniency on the height of the block.
And so, how is it different from a brick? It's not fired.
Correct. Yeah. So I take a waste material from a quarry here in Golden, and again, it's a waste product to them. It's something called an overburden, something they have a lot of that they can't use a use for.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's delivered to my site. It's screened, and it's kind of put in this Frankenstein, level system of hoppers and mixers and a press, and a small amount of water is added to kind of compress it with a hydraulic press, and then it's put straight onto a pallet and delivered to the job site.
Nice. And so it's an affordable source material. Mm-hmm. Is the source material unique to Colorado? Is it something that can only happen here?
No, it's not unique to Colorado. Again, it's that a lot of the sources come from quarries. It's a similar composition to what's on our baseball field. So something, again, that kind of sandy clay material and aggregate. So I kind of call it magic dirt because there's just this, again, this composition of the right amount of clay, and it has the right level of aggregates in it. So,
does magic dirt help add a level of sophistication to your product, do you think?
I don't know. I think so.
Anyway, so and tell us about. I mean, I mentioned the LA fires because such a tragedy, and so much reconstruction is going to have to happen. With the understanding that this is a place that fire is going to be a part of their future. And so fireproof construction is going to be something. Have you had a chance to reach out to the officials in LA, either the planning department or zoning or permitting people? Or
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have a colleague, an architect in LA that's working on this front. And California is so interesting in that there were these these earth and masonry buildings in like the 18 and 1900s, and now they're all under a lot of historic preservation. And they they're beautiful constructed buildings that are now restored. However, adobe is one of these materials, because it's so prevalent and so local and accessible. My LA architect friend, he mentioned, "Hey, Lisa, if there was like a flower and that most people could had or was grown in your backyard, like who would fund that cured cancer, for instance? Like who would fund the research to develop this flower?" And because adobe and dirt and earth are so accessible, and it's been a hard product to monetize for that reason, and so it hasn't gotten a lot of funding for in building, keeping the building codes and whatnot. And masonry in general is also known as having problems in seismic areas. However, there are ways to reinforce it, and certain structural elements that are super important that need to be done. So
you've got a storytelling challenge, and which is a marketing challenge, but you don't have a manufacturing challenge. There's plenty of material. You can make these compressed earth building blocks. And as I understand it, when they're exposed to fire, they actually get stronger.
Yeah. I mean, the Three Little Pigs, right, kind of tell us the story of building with brick. But you're right, these blocks are unfired, and when they are on fire, they have this beautiful kind of glazed finish to them that we've done in a laboratory. So.
Yeah. And are there some buildings that have been made with this product already?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a company that, is manufacturing blocks for actual projects that we're building. I did one home back in the Marshall Fire here that has gotten some attention, and, a house out of dirt and rebuilding from the fire. So yeah, and I have clients kind of throughout Colorado. I'm shipping blocks to Missouri. I did actually ship blocks to LA before the fires, interestingly, for a wall project. But yeah, we design, I recognize I can't just make these blocks and put them out there to the world and hope the world knows what to do with them. But so we do the design and engineering and permitting. Cool. And then work with masons on the installation.
Nice. And so these are thermal mass is enough to have it be a good, reasonably well insulated wall when it's constructed as well?
Yeah, well, we're building a double wall here in Colorado and cold climates also, so with an insulation cavity.
Yeah.
So we're filling that with perlite, which is also a fire-resistant material. It's actually an exploded rock that's insulative. And so, yeah, that's our wall system is 2 blocks and insulation. Well,
it sounds like it's the right thing at the right time. Maybe you should call it crypto bricks or something.
Ooh.
I don't know how you would get people's attention.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who seem to be attracted to that word somehow, not knowing at all what that means.
I know. Historically, like some people have built with actually putting cow dung in the blocks.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of a good stabilizer. And so,
we know what they would call it. Yeah.
Smart poet, marketing guy said, what do you call them about shit bricks or something?
Yeah. Well, there's the brick shit house. That's it's another thing. I can see your marketing team is going to have a lot of work to do, but the truth is,
challenge.
Is there a website if people want to learn more about what you're up to?
Yeah, so novaterrausa.com.
Nova, Novaterra.
Correct, yeah.
USA.com.
Yeah.
Novaterrausa.com, okay.
Yeah.
And are you envisioning a scenario in which your company is able to set up multiple manufacturing facilities around the country, different regions? Because shipping them is probably the least fun part of it, right?
We have this romance around building with local material, like kind of like our wine industry, right? We kind of like harvest grapes.
The terroir of my brick. Yeah.
And so certainly, I mean, everything that we have is shipped from somewhere, right? It's just kind of embedded and But something like these locally made blocks with local materials is much more transparent in terms of having to ship them from the source. So, a vision is to create these sites where the energy model that I'm building with NREL can support the use of the thermal mass in these various climates and accessible, quarries and things. So, whether it's New Hampshire block or that's kind of the vision, is to set up different sites that are supporting those communities.
It's a good thing you have an engineering degree. And it's a good thing that your life has taken you into these various paths, New Zealand and other places where you've been exposed to the construction trades and know how things are built and know what stress loads are like, point loads, and how these things might all make a really beautiful home out of materials that are both sustainable and a home that is tempered to survive these crazy times that we're finding ourselves in. So congrats. I think it's a cool idea, and I'm so glad you could join us and share a little info. And novaterrausa.com if people want to learn more. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Lisa,
Nick.
thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Lisa Morey from Golden, Colorado.